What's up, guys? It's Jughead here, just a down-to-earth guy trying to bring you some down-to-earth content. Welcome back to my Let's Watch Mob Psycho 100 series. Today, we are watching episode 6, Discord to Become One. Super excited. Last episode, episode 5, I don't even know how to describe. My eyes. Some of the best animation and visuals I've ever seen that have ever entered my eyeballs, and some of the best storytelling, dialogue, and emotions my ears have ever received. It was just incredible. I can't even describe how amazing last episode was. Outside of my long-ass discussion that was last episode, I'm just super excited to continue today. I'm not gonna try to use episode 5 as like the standard now, because I feel like I'm not disappointed, but like if I just hold every other episode to that right now, I don't want to be too judgmental or like judgy. I just want to enjoy the show and just see where this show goes, because after that, after fighting Teru, who has essentially kind of reformed, but now Mob, who has just completely broken down because he couldn't sustain his ideals. You now have Ritsu, who I'm very, frankly, almost worried about, because I feel like we're gonna see some evil intentions out of him. Does he have powers? Has he been hiding them? Has he not even known about them? Because of that flashback that happened with Ritsu and Mob as kids, and trying to unpack that, it's just gonna be insane. And I want to know where we're going in terms of like our main antagonist, the main plot line now, because so far it's kind of been like different story, and I want to see, is it all culminating to this one linear path now? So without any further talking, let's just get into this shit. So Mob Psycho 100 episode 6, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's watch, shall we? What's happening fucking today? Oh, are we going back to the flashback? Ritsu and Mob as kids again, going to that flashback that still confuses the shit out of me? Okay. Still having his nightmares. Still thinking about it back that day, now that it's come up again. Turn the sink off. Let's not be wasting water. Oh, he's gonna be having those feelings of inferiority again. And jealousy. Because he might have powers, but he doesn't know how to control them yet. That'll be interesting. Again, having to compare yourself to your older brother, who is such a powerful psychic, and to you not have any power supposedly. The comparison with that. What's going on? Who are we scamming today? What? That's gonna be my thumbnail. In the spirit world. Dances take a lot of concentration. New Jersey accent, let's see how it goes. Nah, let's stick with Japanese. Uh-oh. Sure. Yeah. Uh-oh. You're fucked. We breaking out in the dance? What was that? Cheeseburger Tornado, the main character's... What the fuck? Fuck you, old man. So, do the first half. Ah! Get a job, you fuck. Wait, is this gonna be my thumbnail pic? The password is get a job, you bum. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sounds a little over excessive, but when he is unconscious, so it's not even him acting. Yeah, your powers help other people. They have more good than bad. Don't just focus on the negative. We love Reagan, right? We love this man. You hold the keys to your own potential. Hanazawa. But the guy who beat him is from Salt Middle School. Mob. Who? Everybody's learning about this kid. Uh-oh. Yeah, but he's just average. In comparison, he's just like the rest of ya. Yeah, let's tone it down a bit. Why are we interrogating this man? So she knows about it. Other girl knows about it. Oh, okay. That wasn't the work of aliens? When their eyes go black, I'm like, what are you scheming? Because he's a fraud. Oh. There's a difference? Ooh, a date? Ooh. Platonic, not romantic. We love this guy. I forget it. Masa something. God damn it. I forget his name. He is a gentleman. Yeah, we're protecting our friend. Musashi. There we go. I love Musashi. At least he's apologizing. Okay. Okay. Well. Ugh. President Kamuro. Who is this guy? Something with more impact. What club is this? Do we not want peace? What's going on here? Oh, okay. Make it a comfortable environment for my brother. Is that your drive? Who's this guy? I'm meeting way too many new people. Awakening lab. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. I automatically don't trust him because of his hair and his soul patch. I don't think he does. Nice hair. So they are actually on a date. What a platonic date. Nah, they knew who he was. Why would they go after somebody whose powers are already awakened? Of course they know it's you. Totally simple and normal. That's true. We're all fucking weird. Yeah, the one who's trying to act that part is the one that stands out the most. Yeah, he has the athleticism, the smarts, the popularity that your brother envies. But your brother has all the things that you envy. Don't try to be your brother. Uh-oh. What the hell was that? Why did he fall? Did he just fall? Or are him and his brother linked or something? That was weird. Well, the Awakening Lab looks fucking weird. Oh, so he's gonna try and be his... Okay, this is actual serious shit. Okay. Remember when I first asked, like, oh, do people know that psychics exist? Apparently fucking so. You're about to be a fucking lab rat. And we're about to meet a whole bunch of other espers. Uh-oh. Oh, we don't like this. That aura that's coming off him. We don't like that shit. Why are you eating the ice cream like that? Way to go. Who the fuck are these kids? Okay, Elvis. Ah, so... Sup? Okay, that's like a... Her efficiency rate... You should have a 100% efficiency rate. What the fuck is this? This is just... Oh! Okay. Square head and circle head. Okay. This is just a pathetic group of people. Man, if only they actually brought Mob into this bitch, they'd be like, what the fuck? Ah, okay, well, that's nice. Ritsu's definitely gonna be getting involved in some evil shit. People mean as hell. I feel that, man. Man, look at all that trash in his room. What the hell? Mans is clearly depressed. Yeah, he did that with no effort. That kid almost shit his pants trying to bend the spoon. You don't like to hear that. Middle school kids got messed up brains. You can never tell them the good thing. Girl's recorder bag. What do you think is inside? A recorder. Uh-oh. Yeah. I don't like this. Onigawara. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that name. What happened to the kid? True. Imposter syndrome. I've suffered with that. Ugh. This kid's going to the dark side. Well, fuck those flutes. Woo! Oh, is it this guy? It's so hard to keep track of names. Embrace the pain. Woo! Is he gonna become a good guy? Oh. It is that guy. The greaser. Uh-oh. Are they about to frame this man? Wait, did he steal all the mouthpieces because that's where people's mouths have been? I'm confused. Ah, yep. Going to lick them when no... Right when this guy was about to become good, teamed up with Musashi, he gets fucking betrayed. Right when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. This guy just screams antagonist, man. Ah, shit. You're fucked. There's no way you explaining yourself out of this, even though you're right. This happens so much in society. When nobody believes you. Like when you know something's the wrong thing or the right thing, and you know the truth, but nobody listens to you, it's a horrible fucking thing. Even when the person who did that to you, like, admits it, it doesn't work. That shit can destroy people. Yeah, right? Isn't there at least one person that'll take his side? Uh-oh. She's gonna say no. Oh, God. Right in the chest. Dunzo out for the count. Whoa! Just melting away. Perfect attendance record broken. Fading away into non-existence. Life is over. You're going down a dark path, brother. Yeah, what are you doing with your life? Why doesn't he like? Does he? I forget. Have we know that why RITSU doesn't like Reagan? I forget. Hey, don't taunt him any more than he already gets. He has spiritual powers, apparently. Oh, that spoon's gonna be fucking bent, right? Aw, shit. He has powers. Dimple! And he can see him! He can see him! So, let's discuss. I'm really glad RITSU is going to be an ever-growing, more involved character in the series so far, and not just providing subtle, little to no interest in the background. Every few episodes more, either we're exposed to or we focus on a new character. First Teru, then RITSU, both of them psychics, then now Tenga as well, and instantly the world expands tenfold and the story deepens just as dramatically. I enjoy going from this duo we first established with Reagan and Mob, the duo. Now we grow by one, then another one, then another one. Just as we see Mob is not alone with these powers, others exist, it plays into the heart of the story that Mob also realizes he is not alone, and he has others just like him by his side, namely two he previously looked up to who also look up to him. It's not confirmed yet, but I think Teru and Mob will turn out to be friends. He'll join Mob and Reagan. RITSU, I'm still unsure whether it's the light or dark path we're about to see him begin going down, though either end the same way, I believe. If he goes down the light path, which is unlikely in my opinion, Mob simply now has his own brother by his side who has psychic abilities, and his team grows by one. If he goes down the dark path, which I'm believing he will, it would make sense. Mob, Reagan, Taro, I don't know about Tengen or Musashi, will work together to try and save or rescue or something involved with RITSU. Mob using his powers and realizing they are actually needed, and he does benefit and is blessed by having these powers. Like, the biggest reason being that without them, he would be helpless helping his brother, and even say Teru will learn his abilities, can be directed towards good. Musashi is just our straight up hero. He could end up being closer friends with Mob in that way. And then someone like Tenga, who is called Tenga the Demon, can end up being Tenga the good guy or whatever once he is redeemed by what we saw happen this episode. So Mob is realizing he has these people around him. He's not alone. But I'm getting way too ahead of myself here. This is all pure speculation and speaking presumptively. It's just the vibe I'm getting from this episode going into the future, namely what happened towards the end, of course. Ritsu, in the beginning, you can still see is both obsessed and tormented by his desire for power and psychic abilities. His nightmares in his head continue with these flashbacks of his childhood. The first flashback we saw last episode being that playground flashback that made it look like Mob attacked kids bullying Ritsu, but then you see the end of the episode and then the script is almost flipped and it looks like Ritsu was the one to lash out instead. I'm not sure. Either that or Ritsu is having flashbacks to witnessing one of Mob's first ever explosions. Actually, the more I think about it, I remember in my last discussion, I think that's what I settled on. When Ritsu mumbled to himself, "That wasn't my brother," it's him referencing the fact he witnessed Mob's explosion, and Mob is no longer Mob, but some other entity. This flashback this time is Mob playfully showing Ritsu an orb of floating water or whatever that was, and Ritsu asking if he'll ever be able to have the same powers and do the same thing. You flash forward, and it appears that he never developed such power, which has probably been eating at him away for years. The feeling of inferiority and envy, that's not healthy at all. Influences some stupid decision making, you act out in desperate measures, and you think pretty toxic. Also, I'm just gonna get this out of the way because I just want to say this one thing. The line by Reagan, the password is "get a job, you bum," tied with the animation and how it was delivered, probably one of the funniest fucking things I've heard in a long ass time. That was certified comedy gold, stamped approval right there. I also couldn't help but laugh when Mob asked Reagan if it can still be called self defense if in doing so you inadvertently also shave off someone's hair bald, tear all their clothes off, leaving them buck ass naked, completely destroy their pride, cause all of their friends to abandon him, and casually also destroy the school they go to as the cherry on top. And Reagan's just like, how the hell do you manage all that and still call it self-defense? The animations just made it hilarious, but you have to balance it with the thoughts that Mob is still traumatized by that event. And I don't know if this is the first time Mob is actually verbally acknowledging and sharing to Reagan, let alone anyone, that sometimes his power becomes so great even he cannot control it to such an extent it isn't even him anymore. He admits he is unconscious during these explosions of his. Like, I don't even know if Reagan has ever witnessed an explosion. I don't think he has. And to Mob, that has to be terrifying. You're aware of these events because you can recall what happens, but you're not consciously in control of your body or your powers during that event. And I don't even know where his consciousness goes, if he's just along for the ride or what. Like, if it technically is him, but like the lizard part of his brain or like the Hulk side of Bruce Banner, like he's technically still in there. But remember, in the comics, the Hulk is literally a second being, mind entity. Obviously, that always varied from writer to writer, which got annoying. But the Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time, literally top one or two. I read so much of his comics, but and usually it's portrayed, man, I can't talk. It's portrayed as two separate individuals sharing one body. Like, one of my favorite stories I think happens in the comic Hulk the End, and I think that's where Bruce Banner tries killing himself, but doing so would have also killed the Hulk. so the Hulk took over instantaneously. I think that's where that scene in the Avengers where Bruce Banner admits that he tried shooting himself, but the Hulk caught the bullet. I think they took that from that comic. I'm not sure, but it was the same idea essentially. Just in the comic, they go way more in depth into it. And I love that comic because it's also where Hulk is practically invincible. And I kind of see Mob that same way. Mob is pretty invincible when he reaches 100% explosion. I haven't read it in a really long time. I believe that's also the comic where Hulk survives a nuclear holocaust. Bruce Banner dies, I think from a heart attack, but the Hulk survives, and the Hulk in his inner monologue acknowledges Bruce Banner is dead. His other side to himself, the other individual inhabiting that body of his, is dead, and if he ever decided to change back to Bruce Banner, he would also die. So there's that symbolism that of like Prometheus or something, the last Titan condemned to immortality, even as he is devoured by animals. But then there's also the super fucking crazy shit like Hulk once killed Logan, ate him, but because of Logan's regenerative abilities, he recovers inside Hulk's stomach and forces himself out of Hulk by bursting open like a fucking chest burster scene out of Alien. And I think Hulk died there. But it's like, how the hell does he die there? But then in another comic I read, he survives and blocks a fucking black hole and saves like the Fantastic Four. Like, bruh. But that was a whole random ass tangent going from Mob Psycho and anime to the Hulk and old school Marvel comics. I can't help it. My mind just goes all over the place. And the Hulk was like is who I think of first and most when Mob explodes. I think of it in the same way. Two individuals sharing the same body, but not in like a schizophrenic multiple personality disorder way, literally in like the Bruce Banner Hulk type way. And I'm going to need that to be dived into more in the future. Obviously, it has to be something like that, right? I can't even imagine it being something else, but I also love seeing Reagan now every single time he goes full on mentor mode, telling Mob here that while he wishes he didn't have such powers, he must realize that they are a use and a benefit to many around him. Reagan included, all of his clients that they've worked for would be grateful to you and for you. You have helped many people. Don't focus only on the negatives. And it's like, man, we love this man. He's coming a long way in only 6 episodes, fully gaining my enthusiasm for him. Telling Mob not to suppress himself, only he holds the key to maximizing his true potential. Fuck yeah, man. Out of all languages, he chose to speak facts this episode. The gospel according to Reagan. Amen. Speaking of another character, Tanga, dude. In only 2 episodes or so, the show's managed to have me go from who the hell is this John Travolta looking mafia douche to, man, you know what? This guy ain't so bad. I'm kind of starting to like him. Or at least feel for him more. We got Teru expanded upon, Ritsu expanded upon, and now Tanga is beginning to get expanded upon. And I love that. Every character they bring in doesn't just exist for an episode or so. If they come into the world and take up your screen and take up screen time, take up dialogue, and are a portion of your mind as you're watching the show, it means that they actually have a vaster purpose or role. They matter. I like that because I'm sure we've all watched shows or even movies where they bring in a character, they bring in character after character until you're like reaching double digits of cast, and you make the effort to remember everybody's names, but then only like 2 people fucking matter or actually important relevant people in the story. Or they bring in this super interesting character that exists for maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and then you never see him again. Like, what the hell? I thought Tenga was originally kind of a jerk, but this episode adds more depth to him. The side that he's always had, we just didn't see before. When he passes by Mob on the stairs, for example, and he recognizes him as he was picked on by some of the Black Vinegar middle school guys, Tanga openly and rather honorably admits that it was his fault that happened to him, and he apologizes to Mob. He's still an absolute brute with a short temper and a lot of pride, but now he's a bit more balanced. For Ritsu, it's gotta be so tiring for Ritsu to get mistaken for his brother, handed this flyer for someone he isn't and something he doesn't possess. He's not as powerful as his brother, yet in his student council meeting, his entire motivation is protecting his brother and making the school a peaceful place for him, despite him being the most powerful one in that whole school, in society in general as we know it right now. I also like that Ritsu got called out. He needs some straightforward honesty out of people, and it's true. You'll never find a normal middle school kid on this planet. Everyone is going through some shit. We all have our own problems and our own issues, our own trauma, shit we're trying to sort out, figure out, work on, fix. So just accept it and accept yourself. Yet, Ritsu is the one trying to be one. He's the only one trying to be normal. And it's obvious that it's all an act. If anything, you're the one standing out the most, even more. He stands out as the center of attention already with his intelligence, athleticism, popularity, but he tries to situate himself in the background and let others be the star of the show. Literally, it's like Ritsu could be the protagonist of his own anime, of this anime, but he gives that up to be a secondary character, a secondary cast member to Mob, our who ends up being our main protagonist instead. So it's like, is Ritsu deciding he finally wants a try at being a main character by actually going to the Awakening Lab? Interesting irony we have. Our kid Ritsu, who seemingly has no powers, goes to the Awakening Lab, who's recruited a handful of weak, really sort of pathetic, barely can be considered psychic users. While across town, we got our powerful Mob sensing the presence of an incredibly powerful, almost to the state of disgusting adult Esper, face shadowed in black, draped by a purple hoodie, this blood red aura emanating, oozing off his body like steam, contrasting again to the Awakening Lab, where the leader of the laboratory I thought was going to be like some Professor X type guy, actually has no fucking psychic powers whatsoever at all. And he doesn't actually care about the advancement of society or anything. I thought he was going to be like a Professor X or like a Bill Gates guy. And he didn't create this lab for the betterment of mankind. He did it because he just wants to have psychic powers of his own. So obviously, going to be going into some attempt to harness the powers of others, whatever way possible, inject that into himself to gain those powers. Like, imagine all those kids have their own unique abilities, whether it be telekinesis or manipulation or pyromancy or whatever. Even though they're all super shitty right now, if they develop, and then once they're developed, he takes each one and combines it into one super psychic, that's fucking OP. That's like some fucking shit like the baby from Incredibles who can shoot lasers out his eyes, turn himself on fire, teleport, whatever the else hell, or like some Martian Manhunter mixed with fucking Doctor Strange type levels of power, okay? That would be unstoppable. That'll be some shit to witness, all right? Will he do it to himself right away? Or is Ritsu gonna be like a lab rat guinea pig or something? Who knows? Like, imagine Ritsu, all he's wanted this entire time is have powers like his older brother. But then he gets more than what he bargained for, more than what he asked for, and more, almost regrettably. And this is some dark side antagonist plotline stuff going on here right now. And I'm honestly all for it. And dude, it's just so sad this whole episode focuses on the idea of comparing yourselves to others, and the worst of it being when it's not even by your own volition. Shinji here doesn't want to be compared to his older brother, but his own mother compares him to his brother, and the brother himself plays into it too. Shinji doesn't get as good of grades, he doesn't play the violin as well. He might even be in the student council only because his brother was, and he's trying to match up to that. And then Ritsu is compared to his older brother too. But the Shinji shit like pisses me off to a whole nother degree. Even like watching it, I think so many of us growing up had these standards and comparisons held over our heads by others, and it just makes you feel like shit. Like I remember shit like that, and I've experienced that. I know a lot of my friends have, so it like strikes a chord almost, and it might do the same with a lot of other people seeing this kid with bags under his eyes, trying his best, not even for himself, but trying his best to please others, his own family, being called an embarrassment. He sucks at everything. His whole room is just filled with garbage. He doesn't even bother taking care of himself, like pure signs of depression, and also so symbolizing like surrounding himself with trash because he considers himself to also be garbage by comparison, because that's what he's literally called. He's called an embarrassment, he's called garbage. Your mind is going to fill itself up with those thoughts. Obviously, this is more hyperbolic than what some of us may have experienced ourselves, though the really sad part is many of us have actually experienced exactly this, and that thought just can't help but make you feel like fucking sad, man. And to go back to school and have kids like Ritsu call you an elite when people don't really know you or your life, you don't know what people's stories are. That's the whole thing. And even tells Ritsu he's not an elite. All of that is just a persona that's been attached to him. And he's like, you understand what I'm saying. The praise others lavish upon you, and it doesn't actually fit who we really are at all. That shit hits home. I also love how the message of today's episode, unwanted comparisons and personas. But then the continuous symbolism or imagery I get is contrast instead. Each scene contrasts from the previous going into the next between like qualities of dark and light, bad and good, weak and strong, going from Ritsu to Mob, the Awakening Lab to that mysterious adult Esper, Shinji to Musashi, Musashi to Tenga. And we love Musashi, dude. Let's just hang on him for a quick second. Musashi, he defends Mob. Musashi ran to check if Mob was okay. Musashi given some good advice, positive vibes to Tenga, telling him to embrace that pain and see how good it feels. Change yourself for the better. And they shake hands almost like friends. Musashi is the fucking man, dude. He ain't the main character, but he's the best character. How can you not love Musashi, dude? He is the role model we are glad is present in Mob's life. Everybody deserves to have a Musashi as a friend, you know? Especially Tango with what awful shit happens to him in this episode. Before I go further, I have to comment, why does his name have to be Tanga in the first place? I only say that because every time I hear the word Tanga, I think of the Japanese sex toy that's always memed on, okay? Every time I hear his name or say it, Tanga, a small area of my brain can't help but think of male Japanese sex toy. Like, god damn it. But I digress. Let's get a little bit more serious here. Tanga getting framed for stealing the mouthpieces off the girls' recorders is just downright so fucking shitty, dude. This connects to society so clearly. Namely, the completely overused, turned toxic word cancel or getting canceled or cancel culture. Like, school, even in real life, like I'm sure we all experience this shit. School is like its own mini society within society. And one small mistake you make, one small comment, one small act, one small rumor, anything, that shit echoes through the halls or it shakes the ground beneath your feet. A small epicenter still sends tsunami waves throughout the entire school. That shit can ruin you. That shit can end up being the longest 4 years of your life in middle school, high school, blah blah blah. And Tanga gets framed without any opportunity to prove his innocence in the moment, even utter a single word to defend himself, with no good evidence against him to even prove without a doubt that it was him. Everyone just jumps on the wagon against him, and conversely, everyone around him jumps ship. I don't care about politics. I ain't getting political here or serious. Like, you know me, I'm just talking so casual and down to earth right now. We're just having a convo here. I feel like that just needs to be prefaced anytime someone talks about anything mature or intellectually complicated. I just think this here, this scene depicts exactly how, in our actual society, something like cancel culture has just grown so toxic and uncontrolled, almost like rabid. Anybody with any sort of following ought to be afraid, quite frankly. And I know many who actually admit that they are. Like someone I follow, like Brian Callen, a comedian I saw on Instagram recently, was just talking about this on a podcast. And It's not because they've actually done anything or have anything to actually be afraid of being made public, whether you're a celebrity, a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer, any sort of influencer. It's not because they've actually done anything or have anything to actually be afraid of being made public, but because single one or any group of people now on social media, with the way we're all interconnected with the internet, with any mild to severe distaste or even hatred for any person, whether celebrity or influencer, YouTuber, streamer, whoever, anybody with a following, anybody with fame, formulate any accusation or story they want essentially against them, which can just like bring absolute ruin upon them. It doesn't even matter if it's true. Career tanked, friends abandon you, ostracized from your industry like you're a leper. And yes, obviously, holding clearly guilty people for horrible things accountable with a zero tolerance policy, that should be a thing. I'm all for that shit. But this guilty before proven innocent shit is like cancerous, dude. Cancel culture is cancerous. The word cancel itself as a word has grown into a giant tumor. Like can we just slice that shit off, you know? Like it's just like this scene with Tenga really perfectly conveys what goes on in society now. Like, like something as simple as like a quick story time, just a quick example, just down to earth casual example that literally just happened like a day or two ago. Like a comedian I really liked listening to on his podcast. His comedy specials were but I thought his podcast was really entertaining and funny. Whenever he guests on other podcasts, it's always super funny and entertaining. And his sense of humor was just like, it kind of matched mine a bit. Chris D'Elia, I don't know if anybody knows his name or what happened quite a few months ago or even a year ago. I don't even remember when it was. A while ago, just some like people started coming out with these accusations on Twitter that he was like texting a bunch of women, some of which were like allegedly underage or something, or like he was trying to hook up with a number of women or whatever, and it was very vague and all. It was just a vague, all over the place mess, and that shit just blew up immediately all over social media, and he got crucified on social media, and I was surprised, of course, because like I follow this person, but not like I had any attachment to it. I don't give a shit about anything that doesn't affect me directly or I don't affect it. I just don't care. I just like I just concluded, oh well, he's probably fucking donezo from all of this, even if it ends up not being true. I just moved on. He completely went dark for months, and he just uploaded like an 8-minute video or so on his channel like a day or two ago as like a first update in like a year or whatever, just to like talk. And it was a good opening up, coming clean conversation, and I respected it a lot. Standing his ground, like everything he ever did was both consensual and legal. A lot of stuff was misinformation, and he'll continue standing by that firmly. And I'm like, cool. If things were consensual and legal, I don't give a shit about people's sex lives or relationship or intimate aspects of their lives. To me, it's like cool. Things were consensual and legal. Those are literally the two most important things in any intimate situation like that you're in. So, what the hell more do people want after that? But he did admit that he does have a problem, a deep problem. He is a sex addict. And he just went into the fact that, like, being in your 30s, blowing up as a comedian and an internet celebrity, he realized, and you realize, you gained some massive perks. One in particular he found out is the fact he became highly sexually desirable. His Twitter and Instagram DMs became constantly always flooded with girls wanting to hook up, and he indulged in that completely, admitting he would literally respond to every single one. And in his mind, it was the more appropriate thing to do of just being open, like, let's hook up right now, or like, let's do this, or I want to hook up. He was just saying, like, he would do sets at the Comedy Store in LA every night, like most comedians do, and then be on the road performing shows on tour and stuff. And he said at the end of every show, he knew when he got off stage and checked his phone, he'd have a queue of girls, women in his DMs wanting to meet up, hook up after the show. And this just ended up consuming him, and he became a sex addict. And a lot of people thought he was weird originally because a big part of his personality was that he never does drugs and he's never drank. And people, for some reason, always find it weird if a man in particular doesn't have some sort of vice. And well, he certainly had a vice, all right. Drugs and drinking to me sound pretty lame and pointless too. If you're having sex pretty much every single day of your life with someone new that you barely even know who they are, but that shit just ain't good, man. And he realized that. He became a habitual cheater in his relationships. He cheated on his fiance, which tore him apart because that he said that's his dream girl that he wants to end up with, and they had a son together even, and it just like broke him. And he realized this day when shit blew up, that shit was inevitable, man. And he just, but he didn't think that was going to happen alongside that was all of these false accusations he says that were going to be included in. Being a sex addict is one thing. No one should look down upon addiction, in my opinion. Sex addiction is just another addiction. Also, sex addiction sex addiction, what the hell is that? Sex addiction doesn't really usually ruin your career or have all your friends jump ship on you because they can't risk being associated, bad PR. Underage shit definitely do be having that, okay? He just decided to just go the Johnny Depp route and go completely silent. Whatever happens, happens. It's not like you can extinguish the torches of a social media mob. He's been going to Sex Addicts Anonymous. He's been doing therapy very actively, working on himself, just raising his newborn son with his girl. And his main focus is just wanting to now be a good role model for him. And that was all encapsulated in an 8-minute video, just sitting down talking. Literally, just, it was like literally what I'm doing right now, just talking. And I don't respect a cheater whatsoever, but I respect an addict picking up his cross and bearing the suffering, doing something about it. I respect personal rebirth and redeeming yourself. And I just feel like people out there are just so miserable as hell. If warriors of justice were really about justice, I would think they would go after the actual monsters out there, and sometimes they do, and that shit rocks. Or by justice, it would mean championing someone seeking help and rehabilitation. People these days don't want to see rebirth or redemption. They just rather see a crucifixion. You you see a guy return after his career has been ruined, bridges burned, friends abandoned, and etc. Like he's going to SAA therapy, trying to improve upon his addiction in order to return to society a healthy, functioning, contributing person with some sort of semblance of a career still. And I feel like so few people actually want the right thing to happen. And it's just like really disheartening for society as a whole. And that's why, besides YouTube, I really just don't care about social media at all. I really don't care about my phone at all, really. Literally, I use my phone to like check, engage with you guys on YouTube and stuff. Or like, I care about my Instagram because I post my photography there. And that's literally it. And I would love to grow a following on Instagram for my photography. But, or there's like actually many people who are just wholesome and good decent normal people. They just aren't the ones that are on Twitter all day. And like it's just the concept of a silent majority and a toxic minority. You just have all those people who find pleasure or gratification from burying someone alive. I just don't get it, but I just don't think shit like this should be preached by anyone unless you're the most perfect angel on the planet. You never made a single mistake in your life. Then I'd say, okay, you can judge from that high up pedestal you're on. I don't know. Again, I'm not speaking politically at all, or like I have no emotional attachment to this shit. Like, I don't have to worry about this shit. And I just frankly don't care. None of it affects me. I'm chill as a cucumber right now. We're just having a conversation. Like, I just love having passionate, mature conversations, no matter the topic. And I was just thinking, that it's an interesting comparison to make because Tenga has all these torches lit and the pitchforks are out against him in this scene. Shinji framed him like so easily, and there's like not even a word he can say to combat any of the wrongful accusations. Just like in real life, there's nothing you can do to extinguish those torches. You you pretty much have to let the landslide do its damage and then hope you survive somehow to recover. And like my main thought behind this, why this scene is so powerful is because like I've seen this happen in high school. I've seen it happen in general society. I've seen it happen to people I know. And when it comes to social pressure, this is the absolute worst fucking kind, maybe. Like, something happens to you and nobody is there out to help you. Nobody wants to help you. Nobody even wants to be associated with you. You're like they couldn't touch you with a 100-foot pole, okay? Some people might believe you, but they'd rather stay silent or just join the mob or stand back because they know siding with you would hurt them too and just lump them right up beside you. Or they don't believe you because they don't do their due diligence, they're finding out the facts, and it's just easier to just be one more finger pointing at the person alongside everybody else in the group. And it's just extremely frustrating and traumatizing, I imagine. And it just sucks for someone like Ritsu who has been dragged in all of this, and he's one of those people that just have such a stain like that tarnish your character when you've otherwise been a good person and someone that people look up to. And like the only thing Tenga can hope for is his new bro Musashi coming to help him. Everyone in that school, I'm sure, respects the hell out of Musashi and would trust him and believe his word. And Musashi is the one who fights for and defends any one of his friends. So I'm really counting on him. Plus, wasn't Tango running with Musashi in the morning? So maybe that's some sort of alibi. I don't know. The only good thing that came out of this episode is the return of Dimple Man. You saw me get super hype. I was ecstatic. I was so happy. I knew he would return. There's no way they could or would take Dimple away from us like that. I predicted he would come back, and indeed he did. Best thing that happened this episode, the only good thing. Plus, Ritsu saw him. He could see Dimple. That, along with the fact that spoon he threw as he stormed out of the Awakening Lab ended up being bent and contorted like a goddamn pretzel, both of those facts make it safe to say to me, Ritsu definitely has psychic abilities and he is an Esper just like his brother. And it's like, how rare is that to happen? Like, if psychic abilities aren't genetic or anything, to have both children be Espers sounds pretty rare. I don't know, but that's hype. Perfectly balanced. So much bad shit and sad shit happened this episode. Almost none of it had to actually do with Ma. We saw him for like 3 short scenes, which I actually like. I like when a show is about more than just the main protag and the cameras aren't just on his one face the whole time. We get everybody involved. But all that sad shit with Tenga, all the dark shit that's going to be going on with Ritsu, it all gets balanced out by the return of Dimple. As Thanos said, balanced, as all things should be. But that is where I think I'm going to end the discussion for today. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button to let me know is awesome. Better yet, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel to stay in the loop. Don't forget to keep the conversation going down in the comments below where I can connect with you more. If you want to support me and get even more exclusive content in return, you can always join Jughead's journey over on my Patreon. Follow me on Instagram for my photography or Twitter for a more personal side if you'd like. Having said all that, and with that said, so long, farewell, until next time, thank you, be happy, I hope you have a good one. Peace.